Limitless Wrestling fan. No longer the Emmy Award-winning, just Jon Alba here with the Czar of Limitless Wrestling, Randy Carver, for yet another edition of the Limitless Wrestling Podcast. Some things have changed since the last time we spoke here on this program, Randy.
Yeah, you're a little further away now, I hear.
I am. That's what the, as our friends would say, the rumor and innuendo would have it. I'm not in Maine anymore, man.
It's weird.
And
it's weird to not have you even in the central Maine area.
No, not even central Maine, southern Maine, nothing. I'm not in Maine anymore. Right now, this week's episode's coming to you from New Jersey. And then going forward, we're going to be produced out of Orlando, Florida.
Crazy.
Which is a hub for wrestling right now in itself.
Yeah, it is. MLW and really anything coming to Florida lately. Obviously NXT being there. Florida's really come out of the gates here in the past couple of years.
Alex Chamberlain down in Miami area.
Yeah.
Good
Our
stuff
boy,
there.
original member of the Maine State Posse.
You can, this is where you can give your obligatory shout out to Harry for being dope, and he's based in Orlando.
Yes,
because
our boy.
He is awesome, and he posts great stuff, so check him out. But yes, I'll be in Orlando, so if you're ever in the area, make sure you say, hey, folks, it's weird, man. It's like me leaving Limitless correlated with me leaving Maine. It's so weird. I know,
that's really weird.
Isn't that crazy how timing just worked? A good thing I didn't win.
Yeah.
What would I have done? You're not going to pay for airfare to get me out there.
I was going to say, that's a hefty little flight for Jon Alba.
Can I, who's okay? There's got to be, if you ever bring, Rachel Ellering back, I can, be in her, carry-on or something stowaway. I'm small enough. I could fit in there.
We'll make something work.
Something like that. So if you're ever in the area, make sure you say, hey, folks, it's been a couple weeks. What have you been up to, Randy?
Well, I mean, we had a show at Mason's this past weekend.
Yes.
Which was super fun. It's pretty cool. I always say it's really cool being back in the central Maine area, but this is actually the first Limitless show in Brewer since stage one, the very first show. So it was pretty cool.
Was that your first time at Mason's?
What's that?
Was that your first time at Mason's?
Oh, yeah. They had never had wrestling before, so they didn't really know what to anticipate, but the owner was somewhat of a wrestling fan.
Okay.
At least he liked wrestling as a kid. So that's an easy in to kind of, make sure everything goes well. But they were super stoked. It was a opening party for Three Graces Tattoo, which just opened up downtown over by Patty Murphy's. So if you're in the central Maine area, definitely check that out because Autumn does the best work ever. But yeah, we had Holy Filth was playing. We had a couple Limitless Wrestling matches. There was a freak show by Baron Von Geiger, who actually a funny tie-in to wrestling. He did some of the freak show vignette work when they brought in Kazarni 9 or 10 years ago. Huh. So that was kind of interesting to watch. Scary, but interesting to watch. No, it was a super rad night. I think we're going to be putting the footage up of that too. So
cool. Good.
Be sure to check youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. 135,000 subscribers now, which is absolutely crazy. So thank you for all the support on there. We're going to keep producing free daily content on there. So subscribe if you have not. But I hope we get back to Mason's, man. It was a sick spot. I love summer shows, especially outdoor shows. If it doesn't rain, they're super fun. So really fun atmosphere there, and I hope we can do more.
Get a good turnout? Yeah,
man. I'm not sure a total head count, but they had people coming in and out all night, and they had the whole, there's a deck. I don't know if who listening has ever been to Mason's, but it's right on the waterfront on the Penobscot River, and there's a huge deck behind Mason's. So the whole deck was full, and then there's people sitting on the rocks. So there was a ton of people there.
Very cool. Very cool. Definitely worth checking out once that hits the YouTube page. And Limitless Wrestling, as Randy said just before. Oh, man, so much has happened in these past couple weeks. Did you get a chance to see any of All In?
I did not, actually, because we had the show at Mason's on the same night as All In. But I was kind of keeping up with it online. I saw a lot of clips of it. And from everything I heard, man, just one of the best shows in history, if not, the best independent wrestling show in history. It's crazy to call an independent wrestling show that when there's 10,000 plus in an arena, but I thought it was really cool just to see the variety of talent who was on that show. A lot of independent wrestling legends, as I'd call them, guys like Colt Cabana, the Briscoes, Joey Ryan, Scorpio Sky, Matt Cross, like just a lot of cool people on that show. I'm excited to finally sit down and watch it. I think I'm going to do that later today.
When you see people, and we kind of hit on this last time, but now that it's actually happened, when you see people who have graced a Limitless ring once or even multiple times on a show of that magnitude, how does that make you feel?
It's really cool because, meeting these guys, befriending, most of them, I know how much work that they put into something like this. So, people like Joey Janela, Jordan Grace, Brian Cage, I list goes on, Matt Cross, even MJF, differences aside. It's cool to see guys like this who have, definitely put in the work to get on a bigger stage, be provided that stage still in an independent wrestling standpoint. So I'm really happy for everyone involved because, the crowd was insane all night from everything I heard. Like it was a great crowd too. Like there were no rude chants. I saw nothing because sometimes you get these big independent shows and there's just, bad fan interactions. But from literally everything from Starcast to the show, I heard everything went smoothly from all standpoints. So I'm very happy to hear that, and I'm very happy for everybody involved.
And you want to talk about a special moment when Cody won the NWA World Title. Jeez. That's going to be something that you're going to see, and you're going to think back to Unreal and how far he's come since then. And it was
really. I mean, you look back at Unreal, he was just getting his feet wet in the world of independent wrestling.
To me, it's like,
crazy that's like a year and a half ago.
Right.
Now.
And it's like, it's the biggest FU in the history of wrestling, too. Not just like the machine, quote unquote, but there were so many fans and even pro wrestlers who said that he couldn't do it. That
for sure. He had a lot of haters, I guess would be the term to go with, because it was really an unprecedented move, and I think a lot of people thought that it would be the similar route that you do see sometimes when these guys leave the WWE, where they don't really adapt to the independent wrestling style. They're kind of on these spot shows used as bigger names, or they're just doing signings, or Cody's going out there regardless of the number of people every single night. When he was not signed exclusively to Ring of Honor, when he was doing all the independents in the States, he's going out there and giving a 5-star match or, anything damn close to it every single night. So that's all you can ask out of somebody. And he was doing that, regardless of the show, regardless of the turnout. So to see him create something like this and just really succeed and flourish outside of WWE, it's, it really shows the magnitude of independent wrestling in 2018, where a guy can leave the dream job and leave, essentially what most people, if not everybody, is working towards, and make a career out of it still. So really cool, really inspiring too, I would say, to a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's gotta be for a guy like him who, I mean, I had a chance to interview him, which you can hear on the Limitless Wrestling YouTube page too, at that time when he came for Unreal. And there's a lot of personal pride when you have something to prove. And it's hard not to be empathetic and to not feel it with them. When Cody wins that title, I think all 10,000 people in that arena felt like they won it with him.
Yeah, I don't disagree whatsoever. I mean, and I don't know if anyone was following the 10 pounds of gold series.
Oh, it's great. Dave Lagana did such a good job with that.
Fuck it. So I definitely recommend going back and watching the 10 pounds of gold series from where Cody got involved, and then watching the match. It's just such an exceptional story.
And what it taught me was that let's be real here. The NWA title has meant absolutely nothing for the past 20 plus years. It's meant nothing. It's meant absolutely nothing. It's exactly what your reasoning is for not having a belt in Limitless Wrestling. And it goes to show you that once you just put a little effort into making people want to invest into something, they made this like, and you're going to see it when you watch it, this was like Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson. They made it like the biggest championship fight in the history of history, and the presentation of it was exceptional, and you had 10,000 people plus millions of people watching around the globe, interested in this NWA championship match.
Yeah, and it's the NWA championship. It's so prestigious. There's so much history behind it, but yeah, it definitely hit some low points, and there were points where, you know, there were attempts to really rejuvenate this championship. Where I look back at, the NWA TNA title, or when Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana were really traveling the nation, putting the championship on the line. There were, situations within the past, I don't know, 10 to 20 years where there were attempts, but, nothing to this magnitude. And it really speaks to everyone behind the scenes there for getting their shit together and really making this something, because fuck, man, that was one of the most anticipated matches of All In from
Now,
everyone's
as a
standpoint.
promoter, when you see that kind of social media influence building something, does that inspire you to really continue to build your own stuff, and how so?
Yeah, for sure, because, I watched those videos and how much traction they got and how invested people got heading into this matchup. Obviously, Cody is a one-of-a-kind performer, and as we said, he's one of the most popular guys in independent wrestling right now, and he's done it for himself on the independent scene. But man, it's just been crazy, and you see stuff like that, and it really makes you want to, I don't know, get your shit together, to put it bluntly. And because that's the coolest shit, is when you can have so many people invest in something that you're pushing forward. So
And it's
really cool, and good on them for getting this all put together.
It's all part of this new age era of pro wrestling where social media can have such a huge influence on your product. All In doesn't happen without being the elite. And
No, I think, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day, like, they're hitting on all cylinders right now, and they understand really what's working for them, being the elite. I haven't watched very much of it myself, but from everything I've heard, they've almost created this own world for them and their fan base. And it's just, it's crazy how big of a pull anything social media has.
Well, every story on the show was built through their own YouTube channel, and they managed to have their own YouTube channel build to a show that brought in 10,000 people live gate in 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's
which is just crazy. It's really crazy. It's something that all promoters should keep an eye on. I know that you're certainly in tune with that, and I think Limitless puts out some pretty good social media content, especially on YouTube, which, as Randy said, you can subscribe right now, and make sure you're following at LWMade on Twitter and Limitless Wrestling on Facebook as well. You got to get that Limitless Wrestling Snapchat set up too.
Man, I'll get it. I think that'd be actually pretty cool if we can take some videos during shows and put them up.
Get some behind the scenes stuff on there.
Maybe we'll do it.
Get people doing it. That's something you should do. There's an idea.
Yeah.
Okay. You talked about how you kind of want to show who's really invested, who's really in this for the long haul, and you've decided to name this 3-year anniversary show Pretenders Beware. Now, I noticed when you posted something from the night of the last show, the Vacation Land Cup, you posted it with the caption Pretenders Beware. What does that mean?
It's more of a thing where it kind of, I don't know, my attitude's been kind of brought back to where it was when I first started Limitless, where it's there's been a lot of shitty shows in the state recently. Shows that will, they promote events and then they cancel and, leave fans in the dark about it until they've already purchased tickets, or even bigger companies like Ring of Honor and WWE coming to town. I just think we've done such an amazing job building this independent wrestling community. And I'm not trying to toot our own horn here, but I just think we run this fucking state, man, of professional wrestling. And I think September 21st is really our chance to show everybody that. And I'm really excited because we're bringing such a unique card to Westbrook. Like, I don't think I've ever been this excited about a professional wrestling card that we've done. So I'm really excited to keep rolling out with the match announcements. We got a ton coming this week, but yeah, that's pretty much the basis of it.
Well, what do we got here? We got the winner of the Vacation Land Cup, JT Dunn versus Ace Romero.
Yeah, and there's an unsanctioned coming on this from Harry, but I think it really speaks for itself. We go back to, November when Ace Romero came to JT Dunn's aid, and it really all centers back around Anthony Greene, who's just always been the guy causing problems for people. But JT and Ace, they were for quite some time on the same page, and then we've kind of seen that deteriorate over the past 6 to 8 months. Ace Romero, I know, definitely feels, because he's told me this straight up, that he's been really the flag bearer of Limitless Wrestling from the start. He headlined the first show, and one thing that doesn't get talked about is like Ace Romero was a big help early on in Limitless Wrestling when he was living in the state. He was putting up posters, he was there helping set up the ring. Like he was the day one guy, and I mean that from every standpoint possible. And to my knowledge, it really eats at him when other people kind of come in here and say that they've helped build this and they weren't here from the start. And that's where JT Dunn kind of fits into this, because JT was not there from the start. He came in May of 2016, so he was within the first year, but not there from the start. And he was kind of in and out until the big opportunities started arising, where he defeats Cody Rhodes in January of 2017, and then it's off to the races, because throughout that year, you look at the caliber of opponents: Sami Callihan, John Gresham, Super Crazy. The list goes on. JT Dunn had a lot of big opportunities after that Cody Rhodes match. I still think that's something that eats at Ace Romero today. So, what better place to really solve the problems and really answer the question of who built this house?
When did booking JT Dunn become a realistic possibility for you, and how excited were you once you got him on board?
It became realistic, I think, after Under Fire, because once we took that big chance with having Chris Hero and Zack Sabre Jr. on that show, and then that show itself kind of showed that, okay, we can, we can work with this caliber of talent and expect fans to be here. That's the big thing, is when you're booking shows early on. You could book a match and not do well promoting it, and then get fucked when you have not the numbers that you need for ticket sales. So we realized pretty quick that we had that wiggle room where it was like, all right, we can start amping up who we bring in here. And we had been in talks with JT Dunn already. So he first came in, as I said, May of 2016. His first match in Limitless was actually against Ace Romero, which is kind of ironic. But it was really cool to have him there, because JT, totally honest, was a team player from the start. He's always been, really trying to help out Limitless, and, really pushing forward. And he's had some of the best matches in his career, in my opinion, in a Limitless ring. So I've always been happy to have him on board since the first year, but, we've got some differences to handle.
This is going to be, in my opinion, a huge, huge show-stealing match. Josh Briggs and Brody King. I saw you book this, and I got so excited. I can't wait to watch this match.
I'm kind of worried, because I feel like these two are going to beat the absolute shit out of each other. But Brody, Brody's the new AAW champion. I don't know if you saw that this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he's been on such a roll, and it's absolutely crazy. Just, he's everywhere right now. MLW, PWG, you name it, he's there. Josh Briggs, I think, is going to have a similar takeoff. Not that he's not already taken off, but past the Northeast, I think by the end of this year or at the start of next year, Josh Briggs is going to be a main player on the independent scene. But as Josh Briggs said, he's looking for a fight. He wants to be hit and hit back harder. So what better person to do that than Brody King?
What have you heard from Brody about Limitless Wrestling? Maybe he likes something. Maybe there's something appealing about it to him working in this territory. Have you spoken to him about that?
Not a ton. I know Brody has a blast, and I have a blast with him, because we like the same music. So anytime he comes up, we just shoot the shit about the music that we like. But Brody's a really cool dude, and I'm super excited, because like the cool thing about Brody King is I had a lot of friends who are like in the hardcore punk rock music scene who go to Limitless shows, and throughout 2017 they were like, yo, you should check out this Brody King guy, because they knew him he's the lead singer of a band called God's Hate, and they knew him from there. And they're like, yeah, this dude's like wrestling now, and he's pretty good. I'm like, okay. So I looked into him, and then that's where we, took that chance. I originally tried to get him for the January show, but we ended up being able to do the March show. And, just as I said, 2018, he's taken off. So I'm glad that we've, built this working relationship with him. And I'm just excited for this match, just as you are.
I think both of these guys are amazing. And they both, if I'm not mistaken, 2 to 3 years in the biz each, right?
Yeah. Unless I'm mistaken on Brody, but yeah.
Brody, I
2 to
know for
3
sure
years if
Brody's
that.
2 years.
Okay. Yeah. Briggs might be 2.5. I don't know when he actually debuted, but yeah. Both under 3 years for sure, which is, it's nuts because Josh Briggs has been in main event positions in Limitless Wrestling already, and he's no stranger to that spot. And it's not like he doesn't fit there. So yeah, I think that's also a testament to how good independent wrestling training is now,
Mm-hmm.
because fuck, man, like there are so many good schools you can go to out here now, and if you really put the time in and you have time to like go train, you can get pretty good pretty quick.
You just have, in this match, you have two of the most athletic big men in all pro wrestling.
I was just gonna say that, man, because that's the deceptive thing about these two, I think, and I'm really excited for like people who might be going to a show for the first time or may
Haven't
not
seen
like be
enough of them.
familiar with these
Yeah.
two. They'll be blown away when you see, a big guy like Josh Briggs and a big guy like Brody King doing, stuff that luchadors do. That's insane.
That's kind of like the new medium for big guys in pro wrestling. You have a certain standard to live up to, and both of these two certainly reach that.
Absolutely.
Two more big men that we've known about this match for a little while now, but hasn't made it any less exciting. Chris Dickinson and Brian Cage. And these two have been bickering back and forth on social media. Brian Cage just appeared at All In, certainly not backing down from this by any means.
No, this is actually one that they both really wanted to have again. I don't know. Like, I look back at March. I actually watched the match back the other day.
It's great.
Insanity.
It's great. And that was the opener, right?
Yeah, and just straight insanity. Brian Cage, I say it every time we have him, is just a nutcase, and Chris Dickinson is as well. Obviously, if I don't know who was there at the Vacation Land Cup, but if you saw Chris Dickinson in PCO, you know that Chris is a nutcase too. I'm very excited for this match. We don't typically have a ton of rematches. I don't know if you've noticed that, but like not, very, very slim to none on the rematch, anything like that. Obviously, there are scenarios where there are rematches. I look at Anthony Greene versus JT Dunn or JT Dunn versus Ace Romero, but fuck, man, there's not a ton. And
no, but it's a match that everyone
fun one to have.
It's a match that everyone wants to see.
It is, man, and that was the thing after March. Like people were asking that night to see that match again. So how can we not listen?
It has. Do you worry about by doing rematches with this without raising the stakes? Because it's not like there's another stipulation here or anything. This is just straight up a rubber match. Do you worry that hurts your ability to promote a show? Is that why you stay away from the rematches or anything like that, or does it oversaturate something?
Now, I see in this case, I don't worry about it whatsoever because I know that people are going to be excited to see this match no matter what. On the flip side, when I'm looking at a card, I do know that, and I look at it from my perspective too, is like, if there's a match that's happening in 4 or 5 of the bigger promotions in the nation, do I want to bring it here, or do I want to bring those guys in and do something different and unique and fresh? I don't know. The situation, it depends on the situation. If there's a really hot match that's like touring the nation that people are asking to see that match in particular, why wouldn't I do it? But it's all about listening to what the fans want to see. And I think you can agree on this because you see the tweets too. Everybody wanted to see this match again right from the start. So it made a lot of sense to put this together.
That's just two guys that are out of their minds and will do
Absolutely.
anything. And that's a compliment to both of them, for the record. They're just out of their minds and they're willing to do anything. And Brian Cage is one of the busiest guys in the business right now. This dude's working everywhere. So
Yeah, man. And he's current X Division champion too, which is pretty cool.
Which is absurd, but is so awesome. A testament, again, to what we were talking about, what big guys are expected to be able to do now. You have to match that athleticism.
Yeah.
Here's a match that's just fresh announced. Colt Cabana will be the one challenging Anthony Greene on the heels of Anthony Greene's loss to Ace Romero at the Vacation Land Cup in the cage. Anthony Greene has still been pretty successful outside of Limitless, but he finds himself in unfamiliar territory here with losses. That's a pretty foreign concept to him in Limitless Wrestling, and he's a guy that goes all the way back to day one. So, for him to be facing a guy like Colt Cabana, as you mentioned earlier in the show, an indie legend, what do you think that will mean to him, and what could a win do for him?
Well, first of all, a win can get him back on track because we look at the track record of Anthony Greene. It's very successful. You know, there are big wins in there. But, you know, we look at the loss column. It's, you know, as I said, looking into the Vacation Land Cup weeks ago, it's all about what have you done lately, you know? And Anthony Greene, that's a tough loss. Obviously, I don't know, the conditions maybe of the cage could have thrown him off. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but Anthony Greene, you know, one of, if not the most successful wrestler in Limitless Wrestling. When you're looking at wins and losses, there are technically 2 losses on his record, but he's only been pinned once. So I don't know what headspace that puts you in when you finally get pinned for the first time, especially because that streak was something that he held on to. That was nearly 3 years. If he got the win in July, it would have been 3 years in September that he was undefeated in a Limitless Wrestling ring. Unpinned, I should say. Unpinned, unsubmitted. So that was big for him, and I think that is a checkpoint that he wanted to get to, and he obviously will not now, but all sights are now on Colt Cabana, who, you know, as we said, independent wrestling legend. And Colt, I think the unique thing about Colt is you really never know what you're going to get from Colt Cabana, because I think a lot of people do underestimate Colt Cabana, and I know that sounds weird to say, but, you know, Colt Cabana likes to have fun in a professional wrestling ring, and I think a lot of people look past the Colt is a very, very good professional wrestler. And I hope Anthony Greene doesn't do that. We saw the promo go up earlier this week where he's bringing the Platinum Honeys with him for the first time. I'm not sure what that means for Brett Domino and DL Hurst, but it seems like a lot of things are changing since this loss for Anthony Greene. So I'm hoping for his sake that his head's in the right place going into this match.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, do you think AG's going to get a little more serious after this loss? But if he's bringing them, I don't know, man.
I don't know, because, you know, the girls have helped him.
Yeah, they
I've
have.
seen, you know, I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to the referees because I don't want them getting involved one bit. But obviously that didn't work very well with Domino and Hurst when I tried to keep them out. So I'm not sure. I think we're going to see a new side of Anthony Greene. I think this loss has definitely changed him. It's definitely hurt his pride a little bit, I think, in Limitless Wrestling. But I don't know, man. You got to be focused when you're going in the ring with a legend like Colt Cabana.
Announced since we last spoke, DJZ.
Dude, I've been trying to get DJZ for fucking months. I'm really happy that we finally got this worked out, because I literally think I've been reaching out to DJZ since last year. He's just one of the busiest dudes, like low-key busiest dudes too, because he'll go from just random promotion, then he'll be in Mexico for a couple weeks, then he'll come back and do Impact, and then he'll go to Mexico again. Like he's everywhere, and I'm really stoked to have him in. He's been actually a very highly requested guy for us to bring in, so I'm happy it worked out.
With him, it's so crazy because he's, I think, 31 years old. But I feel like he's been around forever.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been watching him. I don't know if you ever saw the True Life thing that he was on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I've literally been watching him since before that, because I knew who he was, because he was wrestling a lot in the, I don't think it was New England, but it was like the lower Northeast scene at that time.
He had like a big fro at the time, right?
Yeah, he had the hairspray and the interesting hairdo, and it was I don't know, really cool how wrestling kind of comes full circle like that. So I'm very happy to have him in a Limitless ring.
He excited to be there?
Yeah, seemingly, man.
Cool. Christian Casanova coming off his big win against Ashley Vox in the Vacation Land Cup.
What a fucking match too. I don't know if you've been able to watch that.
I was on commentary for it.
Yeah, that was one hell of a match. I've been putting the DVD together this week, and just an insanely good match, and a great showing in the finals too, for Christian. So I don't know what's next.
What would you like to see him strive to do in Limitless?
You know, I think he needs a big win. Obviously, the win against Ashley Vox is huge, making it to the finals of the Vacation Land Cup.
And he beat Brody King, keep in mind.
I know, but I think he still needs something to solidify himself as a top player,
Maybe
or
a
as we
win
like to say,
without
top
Stokely
talent
Hathaway?
in Limitless.
Without Stokely Hathaway's help, perhaps?
Yeah, that would be nice to see. Obviously, Stokely has played quite a part in Christian's transformation and really his rise in Limitless Wrestling. We look back at the log of wins he's had since he's been back in Limitless. Ethan Page, Brody King, Ashley Vox. Can't take anything away from him. He's been very successful, but I do think he needs another big win to separate himself.
Sami Callihan's back. He was supposed to be at the March show, but had to pull out. And instead, he will be returning here. Why won't he be in a top main event spot?
How do you know he's not, John?
How about that? There's a little tease there for you folks. Maybe he is. What should people expect from Sami Callihan here?
I think craziness, man. Like, this is another guy. I look at the same position as DJZ, where Sami, I think, is one of the busiest wrestlers on the planet. So I'm very excited that we got something worked out. He's bringing Jessica Havoc along too. So
Who's a favorite here at Limitless?
Yeah, man. These two are always heavily requested. I love bringing Sami in, and I said it a couple weeks ago. I think he's, regardless of how popular he is, I think he's very underappreciated for everything that he does for independent wrestling behind the scenes. He just does a lot. So he's a great guy to have in the locker room, and I'm really excited to show people what's on tap for Sami.
Do you know who he's facing yet?
I may have an idea. He may have sent me a little promo video about it too.
Okay.
Be looking for that pretty soon.
So, what can you tell? Can you give us any hints as to what kind of match people should expect?
It'll be a wild one.
Okay,
that's all I'll go for.
Ashley Vox is back, and so is Chris Statlander.
Yeah, it's going to be the first time that they're under the same roof in a Limitless Wrestling at a Limitless Wrestling event since May. And I don't know if everybody knows what happened in May, but Ashley Vox won her way into the 2018 Vacation Land Cup and was quickly knocked out by Chris Statlander with a boot to the side of the head. So I don't know, John. We got to get these girls in the ring together in some capacity, I feel.
If only you had a moderator that could stand between them.
Yeah, if only. We could do that again with the alien. Could you fight off the head games of the alien though?
I don't want to get hooked. I don't want to get alienized. I don't want any of that. So
alienized, is that a word?
It's the only appropriate verb I can come up with.
Okay.
Kevin Blackwood is back after winning the 6-man Scramble, which I got a chance to finally watch that match back, my last Limitless match. And this, I know you said it on the podcast. I was like, I don't know. This really might have been one of the best matches in Limitless history. And to be able to come away with a win in that, that's got to give you some sort of feather in your cap.
Yeah, I was not kidding whatsoever when I was saying that's one of the best matches that we've ever had, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of the Scrambles myself. By the way, there will be a Scramble at the 3-year anniversary on the 21st. I don't know if that was in question for anybody, but they're always some of my favorite matches. And that's just, I love the action. I love it's always nonstop. And I love that shit. And I know, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think it's like 99% of the Limitless crowd's cup of tea. So, yeah, that's a huge win for Kevin Blackwood. Kevin Blackwood's been really impressive this year, and he's another guy. I really can't wait till he breaks out and is everywhere. But man, I still think he's like the best kept secret of Buffalo. And yeah, winning that match with so much talent in that Scramble in July, that's going to be a big opportunity awaiting him on the 21st. And not only him coming from Buffalo, but 19-year-old Daniel Garcia, who made his Limitless debut at the Hollis Pirate Festival. It still blows my mind that he's 19, but he's going to be on the show as well, and I'm very excited for that.
Another young gun is Ace Austin. He'll be on the show too.
Yeah, Ace Austin, who another guy who was blown up recently with appearances on Impact Wrestling and just dudes everywhere. Just came back from Mexico. He also has a win. Maybe we should do Ace Austin and Kevin Blackwood. Both guys who have won the last 2 6-man Scrambles. That'd be a hell of a match.
The up-and-comer
match.
Ace
Austin is returning.
The up-and-comer match. Maybe you could do that match and put some stakes on the line.
What are you thinking?
Give them the winner of that match gets to pick their opponent at the next Limitless show that they're on.
We'll see.
Give them some bragging rights. Give them something to hold their hang their hat on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that might be something that would be worth investing in. So you look back. This is the 3-year anniversary show, and you think back to stage 1 at Cityside Restaurant back in September of 2015. It was a week before I got to Maine. And is there anything to this day that stands out to you from it?
I don't know, just the nerves, really, day of the show. It took a lot to get to that show, and I think we'll dive into it in full at some point. But we had building trouble. It was originally supposed to be at the Sea Dog in Bangor.
Yeah.
We ended up actually losing that building, and luckily we were able to get Cityside, with a couple months to spare. But it was just really, it was nerve-wracking. It was exciting. We didn't do a great pre-sale, so I didn't really know how we'd do. We didn't take a ton of chances budget-wise on that show, and for good reason, because you don't know how a show like that is going to go. You could have 30 people who buy the pre-sale tickets, and that'll be it for you. So we were very lucky. We had just about 150 people there at Cityside that night, and once everything got rolling, it was super fun, super easy. And it's really never easy, but it was easier back then because we had a lot less moving parts, so it was easier to focus on different things. But I don't know. I look back. I watched that show somewhat recently, and it makes me really happy to see how far we've come from that. But man, it wasn't a bad show for a first show.
Any matches stand out to you from it?
I still like watching Scott Wilde and Brian Fury from that show. I was actually doing the hard cam this night, and I remember just kind of standing there and looking over the crowd and seeing the reactions during that match. And that's where it really sunk into me that, this was something that I wanted to keep moving forward with and really make something in the state of Maine, because, it's a lot of work, especially at that point. I was just out of high school at that point. I had no fucking idea what I was doing whatsoever, but you learn as you go. And I don't know, it just, that moment right there, just looking over the crowd, seeing the reactions, really made me wanted to, just keep pushing.
Past Your Bedtime was September 24th, 2016, the 1-year anniversary show. I was at this show, and looking at the card, man, this is one hell of a show. This was a great show.
Yeah, and it was so jumbled, though, like day of the show and night before, really, because we had originally had Mike Bennett was supposed to wrestle Chris Ridgway, who a lot of people might know Chris Ridgway now, because over the past 3 or 4 months, he's really broke out and now is wrestling in Progress. And he's been doing really well for himself. But, flashback a couple years ago, he was actually supposed to appear in Limitless Wrestling. He had a tour set up with us and AML Wrestling, and unfortunately his travel situation fell through, so that was not able to happen. So Mike Grassa ended up getting that spot against Mike Bennett. We had Chuck Taylor and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams booked on that card. They had travel issues that morning, so both of them were not able to make it. So that is what led to Anthony Greene wrestling Xavier Bell. And then we switched up some matches day of the show, and it was a matter of trying to provide the best card possible. And I think we did a solid job. I was really happy with that show. It was a very fun one. A lot of cool moments on that show. AR Fox and Ace Romero, Anything Goes, headlined that, and AR Fox literally ran up the side of the building for a sliced bread onto a ladder. It was
crazy.
That was fucking crazy.
I just will always remember Lindsay Dorado versus Flip Gordon from that show.
Yeah, I don't even know how I forgot to mention that, but that was Lindsay's last independent wrestling match, which is pretty crazy. We didn't really know that until
he told me in the interview. I broke it in that interview.
Yeah, what was that, like a week before?
It was the week of the show.
Yeah, so that was not something that we knew heading in.
And
but
it's so wild, man. It's so wild knowing where Flip Gordon is right now.
It is, and it was literally the show was on a Saturday, and he wrestled Flip. Literally got on a plane the next morning and went to I think it was
NXT live event.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and he was on Raw Monday.
He said at the end of that match, he looked at Flip Gordon and he said, I'm going to something along the lines of, I'm going to Monday Night Raw right now, and I have no doubt that you'll be joining me there one day.
Yeah,
And
and that was a
within
pretty cool moment.
6 months, Flip Gordon is breaking out. And to me, the coolest moment of All In was him winning that Battle Royal. It was
Oh yeah,
amazing. It was amazing. And like you talk about that personal pride thing, man, me having worked a match with Flip Gordon at Cityside Restaurant in the beginning of 2016, then seeing him have that moment in front of 10,000 people, that to me was like, oh my God, that was so awesome.
it's crazy. It really is crazy, especially when we have that close connection with someone who came up in this area, and it's just crazy.
And you can speak to this as well. Flip is just about as much of a stand-up dude as you're ever going to meet,
Yeah,
and
man.
serviced for the country, just everything. I mean, he really is a stand-up guy, and he and Lindsay had a fun match on this show, and both very highly successful right now. So, Lindsay Dorado, I'm not sure if you get a chance to watch 205 Live, but has been pretty predominantly featured since January on it, and I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah, I dig the Lucha
Yeah.
House Party, man.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for him because he was a great dude, and he actually did a seminar beforehand and was really good with everyone who took the seminar, and just very helpful throughout the whole day that he was there. So I definitely wish that he was a guy that we had a chance to work with more often, but I'm very happy for where he is.
And then you got the 2-year anniversary show from last year, Question the Answers. How about this? JT Dunn and Joey Janela, after the match Joey Janela just had on All In, who he specifically has really broken out in the last calendar year, too. And Penelope Ford as well.
Yeah, I'm very happy for Joey and Penelope, but I was just talking to MSP about this the other day, and it's really crazy to look at Joey Janela's career and see where he is, because he's been someone who's really done things differently from the start. He's really a hybrid because, man, like, did not really have much training. He just kind of jumped into the world of professional wrestling, and usually when that happens, we don't get, great results. As you've seen firsthand, Joey has just really reinvented what it means to be a professional wrestler, I think, independent wrestler, I should say. But it's just really cool. It's motivating too, I think, to professional wrestlers, and I've heard it from them, where a guy like Joey Janela can really come from nothing and make himself something. Obviously, make himself a part of a 10,000 plus attended show that's live on pay-per-view. That's insane.
The Thick Boys and LAX, that was awesome.
Oh man, that's the debut of the Thick Boys.
Mm-hmm.
First ever match tagging, and against one of the best tag teams in the country, in my opinion. That's a real fun one, and that one is available for free on youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling if you want to check that out.
Troy Nelson told me one time one of his favorite matches ever was against Swoggle.
Dude, he loves that match. Absolutely. I do too. We need to have Swoggle back pretty soon. That was a super fun one. Jack Swagger and AR Fox, I think that was a very unique match. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people were surprised that was the match that Jack Swagger had on our show, but it was just very unique. I like, again, going back to what we said earlier, I really like providing those different, unique, first-time ever matchups.
Well, and this, Josh Briggs was in the 6-way scramble on this show. Is this when you saw something in Josh Briggs for the first time that you were like, okay, this guy could be a major, major player for my promotion?
Yeah, I mean, I had thrown some tests at him already. Mm-hmm. He was, throughout the year of 2017, he was, especially early on, really highly suggested by Donovan Dijak, Brian Fury, and Anthony Greene. He made his debut at Can We Kick It in April in Portland. He was in an 8-man scramble. He wrestled JT Dunn in June, wrestled Donovan Dijak in July, and I think it was really that Dijak match where it was very evident that Josh Briggs fit on the Limitless Wrestling roster, and it was very evident that he wasn't going away anytime soon. So 6-man scramble, he got the win in that match, and that's really what kind of propelled his career in Limitless from there, because later on in that show, he comes out and challenges Teddy Hart. And I think that was a groundbreaking moment for Josh Briggs. I think it was one of the bigger moments in Limitless Wrestling history.
Took us a while to get that match, but we got it.
Yeah. It took a while, but we got that match, and I don't know. That was a really fun show. A lot of cool moments on that show. We look at the main event too. The main event, one of my favorite matches in Limitless history: Ace Romero versus Anthony Greene, with Brian Fury as a special guest referee. If you have not yet, definitely check out the unsanctioned that was heading into that show. It's on our YouTube. Between Anthony Greene and Ace Romero. I love that match. I love that unsanctioned. Everything about that was really fucking cool.
These are all great shows, and we're approaching the 3-year anniversary coming up. Pretenders Beware, September 21st at the Westbrook Armory. Tickets still on sale. And how were initial sales? They were good?
Oh, yeah. We are somewhere in the midst of 100 to 110 tickets remaining.
Okay.
So if you plan on attending this show, I would say getting them early, because they especially the first day. This was a record breaker for first day sales. We did front row and VIP was gone in 5 minutes, I think, total. And I think we did just over 200 tickets throughout that first day. So definitely, if you're looking to make it to this show, I would highly recommend buying your tickets early, because I don't know, they've been moving at a rapid pace, and I haven't checked since Friday, so we could be under 100 tickets left by now.
Pretty darn cool there, Randy, and we'll have much more on the upcoming anniversary show in the coming weeks. Anything you want to add about Let's Wrestle?
Yeah, so Let's Wrestle, for any fans in the Central Maine area or anyone who wants to travel up for it, October 12th, we're back at the American Legion Post 84 in Orono, Maine. The main event is set. It is the Maine State Posse, Danger Kid, Aiden Agro, Alexander Lee, colliding with Todd Harris, Calvin Strange, and Rob Marsh. A lot more announcements incoming. The event page is live on Facebook. Check it out at Let's Wrestle on Facebook, and we'll have a ton of announcements forthcoming for that. Also, just to go back to the YouTube again, the Let's Wrestle footage is actually going up for free on the YouTube, so you can be looking for that too. We
didn't even get a chance to talk about that last Let's Wrestle show. Were you surprised about the reaction Rob Marsh got?
Yeah, man. I was very happy that he got an insane reaction. I think Rob Marsh is very underutilized. I'd like to see him more on some of the deathmatch shows going on, because I think he's that cool hybrid of a deathmatch guy who can really wrestle.
No, he can. He's in that Jeff Cannonball group where you know him for your typical deathmatch stuff, and he's crazy. He is absolutely insane, but he can go, man, and he does one of the prettiest frog splashes you're going to see by a guy his size.
Yeah, and I'd like to see him get some more opportunities. He's someone who I have considered for Limitless shows before, but I definitely think he could work his way there with Let's Wrestle, and I'm excited to see what we can do with him in Let's Wrestle.
That filthy Todd Harris. Calvin Strange. Oh, who is Classic. This Tex guy? I saw this Tex guy all over my social media. Do you know who he is?
Oh, Tex Arcana from the Tex Arcana show?
Yeah.
Yeah, great dude.
I watched 25 minutes.
Area.
I watched 25 minutes of this guy. Looked a lot like you, but the hat kind of threw me off, so I knew that wasn't you.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear something like that, man.
No, but 25 minutes of him talking with a really bad accent in front of a green screen.
I don't know, man. They got a big budget for that show. I know that much.
Clearly, so much of a big budget that they couldn't be bothered to key anything out and just leave a giant green screen. That's man. Even
heck of a show.
If you can sit through 25 minutes of that, sure, great show.
Yeah.
But yes, good stuff all the way around. Make sure you're following Limitless Wrestling along at LW Maine on YouTube, on Facebook as well. Tweet us some questions. Maybe the next episode will be an Ask Limitless episode to pass some time.
Yeah, let's do that, actually. Let's do it.
I'm not sure when we're going to be able to get it going, because next week is going to be super busy for me, but maybe you'll be able to handle one on your own. Maybe I'll be able to hop on at some point. We'll see what we'll make of it. But whatever we do, we'll do an Ask Limitless. Get some questions, and you can start sending them in right now at LW Maine. Hashtag Ask Limitless. Hashtag watch that episode, listen to that episode. And you can find us on Twitter as well individually and ask those questions, and we'll make sure they get on the podcast as well. Anything you want to hear people ask about? Anything you're dying to talk
anything
about?
Anything really. I'd love to talk more about the 3-year anniversary show, Pretenders Beware. I'm open to anything, though. Any questions that you have heading into that show, any that you have about Limitless or Let's Wrestle in general, or if you want to know what my favorite drink is, I don't care. Any questions you guys have, send them in. As you said, hashtag Ask Limitless, or just tag us in the tweet, and I'll write them down, and we'll make sure to answer them next week.
You can send them in on Facebook as well. Just DM that Limitless Wrestling account, and we'll get those in as well. So, folks, have a great week, and we will see you on the other side.